And India, if I asked you a little tougher, just, I don't care about people at all, y'all know, when we don't do this, what happens to us from a financial standpoint in our community when we don't do what you're talking about?
Well, part of our strategy is that it's easy to do physical development. And that's what in the nonprofit community development field, it's mostly bricks and mortar. But if we do not invest in human capital at all levels and change the dynamics for the people living in this community and giving them not a handout, but the opportunity for them to grow. Because what you find, I tell people this, just because people live in low-income neighborhoods does not mean that people do not want to be educated, that they don't want nice things, because they're striving every day to have the same things that everybody else is. But too often people look at them and think that they are not deserving. Everybody has a right to decent health care, decent housing, and to have a job, a good paying job, so they can be self-sufficient. And we've spent billions and billions of dollars over and over and over again throwing dollars at and lip service at programs that don't work. And so that's what we're trying to do, is create an opportunity to utilize the partnerships from the anchor institutions that are in these communities that aren't going away, creating businesses that will be able to stay, as our consultant says, sticky capital that stays in our community, and create the type of businesses working with the institutions and using their procurement power to create sustainable businesses long-term that will not only flourish but grow and do spin-off to create other opportunities.
One of the things that I always think about when we talk about education in the workforce that I'd like to add on an economic standpoint is that for every single person who receives some education, for every one person who gets some training on the job, gets an opportunity to be uplifted, gets a good conversation about education and learning in their little small business, for every time one person gets any kind of education like that, 2 other people in their family begin to engage in education. One of the issues for the state of Ohio is that only 1 out of 4 of our citizens has any advanced education past the high school degree. It makes us non-competitive in the recruitment of new industry. And so when we lift up the least among us through education in the workforce, we lift up their families as well. And so that's one of the reasons I go back to my final question here for Steve in the speed round. Small business is the backbone of America. More people work in small business than anywhere else. And we've learned what the barriers are, Steve. Are there any solutions for folks? Any ideas on how they can? You gave a few earlier. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, there's a gillion places you can bring people together to sort of learn about stuff. But I've got this little brochure here, which you probably can't see real well, but it's a table. And it's got chairs around it. Find ways to put people around tables. Change your title for your training fund and call it coffee and donut money, or coffee and cookie money. You can spend as much as you want on buying coffee or cookies for people to get together and talk with, as long as you think it's worth giving me a 1-page summary of what you learned. And at the end of the year, those ideas will accumulate into something, and maybe you award somebody for the best ideas they brought back. 5 years ago, Renee and I had a conversation at Terrace Club about how does she sort of take the next level in her business and all that. And I think a lot of the things around bring together your peers so you can learn from each other. That's why you're all here today. And I imagine this is a valuable source of information for you. Find tables to sit around, buy some donuts, and have a good time and learn from each other.
So, thank you, Steve. Now, can I ask the audience to ask questions before I go to polling? Okay. What's she going to say when I'm standing here, right? So questions from the audience for our group, and then we're going to do just a final polling question. What do you need to ask this panel that we didn't get to today? Be brave. This is a learning luncheon, which means someone should have a question. Yes, please, right back here. If you'll stand up, and I think someone has a microphone. Here she comes. I can't really see you. I don't have on my glasses.
That's because you're old like me. I have glasses too. Each one of you have talked about engaging young people, the millennial generation. They all get bored really quickly. So I have kind of a 2-pronged question. Number 1, what specifically in your organizations do you do to engage millennials that you're hiring, our college graduates today? And secondly, then, what happens to old people like me who are never going to be able to retire and still need to have that career path and that challenge? Thank you.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Since we hire 700 to 1,000 of them every year, you know, I think one of the things that you have to do is give them real work, meaningful assignments, challenges early on. We give our people a lot of responsibility right out of the chutes. I had the opportunity last week to view, we do a very large internship program during the summer, and we ask our interns to look at some business challenges that we have. And then we bring them together in our division offices and they make presentations, and I saw several of them yesterday, and they absolutely blew my doors off, because you could imagine that these could have come from someone. I think it goes back to Steve's idea. These are people that worked in our store all summer. They had a lot of interesting perspectives, and they gave us some very real recommendations that can improve our business. So I think you got to get them involved in real assignments very quickly, a lot of visibility to senior management, a lot of opportunity to understand what's going on in the business. And by the way, I don't think it's any different at any age that you're at. But I think, you know, I think it's as true for our people that have been with the company 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, that they need to have real challenges and make a real difference in the way that they participate in our businesses, and help continue to make them vibrant and improve.
At the Cleveland Clinic, we have affinity groups, and one of our affinity groups is called GOAL, Group of Aspiring Leaders. And this is primarily made up of a lot of our new, younger, millennial workforce, if you will. And just like Nancy said, these folks, they like to be a part of something. They come in, they work a couple of things, and they want Steve's job or your job. But if you give them meaningful work, challenging assignments, you give them high exposure and visibility, they like that. The other thing that we do is we involve them in what I call cross-functional projects. So if they're working in as an administrator or in finance or something, we give them exposure to other departments working on a cross-functional team. They like the team thing, they like the recognition, we give them that. But then if they show the wherewithal to have some promotional or career enhancement opportunities, then they get that too. And I also agree with Nancy from the standpoint, some of our more senior employees, I don't think you treat them any differently. Now, they may not join the GOAL group or anything like that, but you continue to challenge them and stretch them through educational programs. Most employees, there's a lot of employees, they don't want to get promoted. They like doing exactly what they are doing, but they do want to get educated, stay cutting edge, and you give them the opportunity to do that. The other thing is that you make sure that you are also getting them involved in these cross-functional projects, because they have the institutional knowledge that the people in the GOAL group doesn't have. And when you mix that together, that's pretty powerful. You have this young group of just energetic people that want to get everything done right now. Then you have that senior person saying, well, you know, we think maybe we need to look at it this way. And you end up with a win-win situation that's going to be something very, very powerful for the organization. So I agree, I don't think you treat them any differently.
I think just a quick minute. I think it's really important that we don't get into these, every millennial is the same, every Gen Xer is the same, every baby boomer is the same, right? We've got sorts in every class. So a lot of the millennials don't actually want the baby boomer's job. They're smarter than that. They kind of want the experiences, they want the opportunities, and they want to feel a part of it. It's very much being a part of it. You know, in the early part of your career, 20 to 30 years old, you have nothing else. You don't have family, you don't have kids maybe, you don't have a husband. Your job defines you. So give them opportunities to sort of stretch and learn in their job. And then for those middle managers, those Gen Xers, people like me who are going, the guys above me are going nowhere. The guys below me sort of want my job. What do I do? I think those folks have to have a little bit more comfort that they can help with the development. And those millennials aren't really after the job, they're after the experience. So give them the experience, and that will satisfy them for a significant period of time.